Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is Saturday, December 18th, 2021. It's a balmy 38 degrees out here. Pretty good for December, but we do have a system moving in today. It's going to dump some, well, we're kind of on that rain, snow, sleet line, so it's questionable. We don't know. Might get up to an inch, which is nothing, or we might just get ice, whatever. So the plan for today is to try and get the steering valve out of the tractor, get it into the basement workshop so that I can take my time and rebuild it, fix the leak. Hopefully it's just going to be a matter of rebuilding it by putting in new seals and O-rings and stuff. I won't know until I get into it. What I do know is that since last time when I put the new filter in and the fluid in, that the tractor has decided to dump a whole bunch of fluid on the ground, and the last time we drove it, the steering is pretty much gone again, and it's because the fluid level has dropped down. So whatever this leak is, it's a pretty bad leak, and it's kind of an interesting leak in the fact that it didn't seem to dump a lot of this fluid until after we parked it after driving it. So there must have been pressure in the system somewhere when we shut it down, because of the way that the spool valve was closed. It's really not really a spool valve, it's more like an orbitrol type valve, and there must have been pressure in a line, and so even though it was sitting not running, wherever that leak is, it must be on that side where that pressure was. So, well, let's see what the heck's going on. So this big discolored patch right here, that's all power steering fluid, unfortunately. And you know, didn't see much of a leak, much coming out at all while we were running it that day. But this is all right here. This is where this is all coming down and leaking. So we got to get this opened up, and we're going to try and get this all done before the bad weather comes in today. I had this kind of off not that long ago when I was working on the shutdown cable and the tachometer deal here, so I already kind of forgot. I still had the dash unscrewed from this part. This is fiberglass. I do remember I have to unscrew the knob for the tilt, which luckily that unscrews without breaking. You know, on this side here there's a screw. It was right here, right? And the funny thing is, that's a regular screw, flathead screwdriver, slotted screw. And this location on the other side is a bolt. So I don't know whether or not that was by design or if somebody just lost one of the screws over time or stripped it out, maybe, who knows. Throttle, knob. Bolts underneath here that I never put back in. Those are already out, so I think, yeah, I got to get this hood off because the weight of the hood is on, hood overlaps this. Can't tell if there's a plug here. If there is, it's all taped up. So I can either individually disconnect all of these wires. Let's see. Oh man, I'm gonna have to pull that steering wheel to do this, and that is not gonna be easy. That nut is major rusted. I tell you what, I'm noticing something I never noticed before, which is when you turn this, the shaft moves up and down. In fact, I could do this. Yeah, that might be part of my problem right there, right? I'm pretty sure that's not supposed to be doing that. The precipitation has started already. 1/16 of an inch nut. Now let's see how tight this is.
Oh, that's a good sign. And it begs the question, if it unscrewed that easily, did it need to be tightened? The tightening this onto here is not going to, it's not going to properly solve the issue, is it?
Interesting.
Steering wheel is rusted onto the shaft though. Gonna need a puller.
I know what you're thinking. I'm going to crack my steering wheel doing it this way. But that steering wheel is complete garbage. It's all of the plastic coating has pretty much been broken off or falling off, so somebody used electrical tape and, like, I don't know how many rolls of electrical tape to tape that up. So that steering wheel's long gone. Which brings me to another rosy point. If you're buying an aftermarket steering wheel for one of these tractors, you gotta pay close attention, because this is sort of like a pizza. It's deep dish. In other words, the distance from here to here on this wheel is larger than most steering wheels, and apparently on certain versions they didn't do that. So if you just order a Ford 5000 steering wheel aftermarket and you get too good of a deal on it, chances are when it comes in it's going to be a short dish. So yeah, this plastic hub is just completely snapping and breaking, but that's okay, because once all of this breaks away and falls off, I will have something else to grab onto with the puller. So now I can get the puller under here. There we go. Slipping off. I may need to apply some heat to this. Get the alignment better on the jaws. Maybe now it'll work. Okay, I'm going to stop right there and I'm going to go get a torch, MAP gas torch, so I can heat this up. With a little luck, keep it under tension, heat it up, and it might just pop off. With a little luck. Time for plan B. Alright, so by just cutting off the spokes of the steering wheel from the hub, I now don't have to worry about this for now. I could take this off down in the shop later at my leisure when I can really get at it. And of course, now with the spokes out of the way, I could probably get the puller on there more evenly. But I'm not going to deal with that at all right now. So over here, we got all these wires going to this dash assembly, this module. This feels like this might be a plug right here underneath all this tape. This wiring harness goes in and splits into two, all taped up. So if there is a plug, it's going to be right here.
So I'm going to see if I can't get this tape off. Expose what's underneath there.
What broke?
The steering is leaking. Give me one of those screwdrivers with a sharp blade on it. Let's see if I can use it to cut this. Let's see. Trying to get this tape. Trying to see if there's a plug here. If I can unplug this plug, then I don't have to undo all of these individual wires and lights. Looks like somebody changed a bulb in this at some point. See how much newer that one looks than the other ones? Something under there.
Maybe a fuse or something.
No, it looks like it's just that looks like that's just that's a splice. What do we got? Three wires going into one there or something. That's all that is. All right, that ain't gonna happen. So that's not the answer. So I gotta undo all of these wires, and then I gotta try and make sure that I know which ones go where.
Red.
Yes, very good, red.
Stop.
You know all your colors. All right, so the glass is so dirty I can't see.
You can take it off.
Yeah, you know what? I tried taking those screws out. They're in bad shape. I don't want to crack this piece. So looking at it from the bottom, this would be, well, the right-hand side, the side that has the, I can't even tell what gauge that is. Oh, whatever it is. Side that has the gauge on the right, the spade terminal that's furthest over to the right has a blue wire with a...
You just took that light out.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll pull this light out. So this light has two solid colored wires on it by the looks of it. And this spade lug has a...
Blue and...
looks like it's green.
That's blue.
No, the blue with a green stripe. It looks yellow up here, but it actually turns into what looks like green here. All right. The next wire over appears to be a solid black.
Yeah.
It's so filthy. Yeah. Solid. Oh, that's a ground. You can tell. It goes right to the frame of the odometer, tachometer assembly, whatever they call this thing, instrument assembly. All right, so now we're over to the, now we got this light down here, only has one wire going to it. Well, that's interesting. Oh, they're using the ground. Okay, so now we're over to the left side of the instrument panel. The light that goes in the bottom here has a red wire on it. The light that goes in the top has two wires going to it. One appears to be an orange-ish color, light orange, and the other one's brown with a yellow stripe. So now all my lights are out.
They'll knock your lights out.
The spade lug terminal all the way over to the left has a solid orange wire going to it. The terminal on the back of this looks like a fuse assembly is, well, also a solid beige color. But it's the only spade lug that color, so that's good. Okay. And just like that, this can now...
You're taking it apart and cleaned.
Yeah, and go inside for the winter. Did you carefully put this on the ground? Yeah, this is unbolted, so careful. I keep grabbing this handle to get up like I usually do and keep forgetting that I've already unbolted it. So, all right, so all of this wiring in here that I just disconnected goes into a wiring loom or harness that is attached to the inside of this through clips and goes around to another spot and goes around to the key switch. But it all goes back into one main taped up wiring loom that actually comes into the engine compartment in the front, and there's a big plug there, so I can unplug it right there. So this plug right here can see right there, that's the wiring loom, and there's a plug right here. So if I can get this plug undone, that will disconnect all of the wiring, and that will be one less thing keeping that dashboard captive. All right, so I undid that plug. That's pretty straightforward. Took the cap off the tank so that I could more easily clear it through that hole. And then was able to pop this. I already had this bolt out from previously, so now I popped that whole cover up and off. So now I can close this back up. All right. Hold on a second. Looks like the ignition switch wiring goes somewhere else. Oh. Well, I know the fuel shutdown cable is definitely gonna keep me from pulling that dash out of the way, so I can undo that here. So there's a thick wiring harness right here that runs down through the floorboards and goes under the tractor. Looks like it goes to the PTO switch in the back, maybe some lights, I don't know. But then it splits and it goes underneath here somewhere. I can't really see. So I don't know if I want to deal with that. Or I think if I just pry these metal clamps open, I might be able to just release this wiring from the dash, or this cowling, whatever. And it's so close to being able to be just flipped completely out of the way. So I could just unscrew the ignition switch here and drop the ignition switch out and let that stay behind with the wiring. Same thing with this light switch. These things are easy enough to bend, so that's the plan. There we go. Well, look at that. I don't even have to drop the switches out. I like that much better. There we go. Here's the valve that I need to remove. And it's in this interesting bracket setup because it basically has this tilt ability. When you pull this up, see? Tilt steering wheel. This whole area right here is all cleaned and devoid of grease, which makes me think that this is where it's coming out. Alright, so the question now is, how does this come out of this frame? It pivots at these 2 points here, one here and one here. On the outside, there is a shaft with a slot in it for a screwdriver, almost as if like to be able to turn it, and 2 flats on it that allow you to put an open-end 1/2-inch wrench on there, almost to be able to turn it. But they don't want to seem to turn. But my theory is that on the inside here, these big nuts right here are locking nuts, that it's a jam nut, and that the way this works is that you loosen this jam nut, that allows you to turn this in or out to adjust how much free play there is in this side to side, so that you can tighten that up if it's loose. So that's just a theory, but we're going to test it out right now. So I found a wrench. Seems like it'll fit this. There we go. All right, so I've just loosened that jam nut. Now let's see if this moves. Sure it does. Okay, so that is the deal there. So now, question is, if I back this out far enough, can I actually pull this off of the other one without even having to touch it? Because that nut that's in there is much harder to get to because of this bracket that's in the way. And if I don't have to take that bracket off, and mess with it, I'm not going to. So that's now free of that. All right, battery died just as I backed this out, but see, I backed this all the way out and this actually dropped out from that side. Now, if I can pull this out far enough this way, I might be able to get it to drop off from that side. And to do that, I need to get this nut out of the way. So I'm just gonna unscrew this all the way so that the nut can come out. Now, let's see if we get enough clearance. Oh, just enough. And just like that, look at that. The whole damn valve comes out. That'll work. Okay. So now, all that's keeping it in there really are the hydraulic lines, which I will take care of now. So, we got different size lines on here, which is nice. That'll keep us from mixing these up. So this top right looking down is it's a larger line, so that's probably a return or a suction line, 7/8. Probably should have loosened those up before I took this out of here. That's okay though. I can just screw this back in without the jam nut on it temporarily. Zip this in real quick, just enough to hold it in place while I attempt to loosen this. Man, that's tight. There we go. There we go. Okay. The line below it has this 90-degree fitting and then this fitting. So this is the fitting I need to unscrew. Alright. Looks like this one's also 11/16. Whoa. Almost fell off. And last, oops, not that monster. Big one here. Pepto-Bismol, aka contaminated fluid. The sleet is picking up. Oh yeah, good stuff. Whoops. She's out. Yeah. That looks like the remnants of mouse nest soaked with fluid. All right guys, so I'm gonna wrap this video up right here. So we got the valve out, and next video we'll have this down on the workbench and we'll start disassembly of the valve and inspection and see if we can figure out exactly what we're gonna have to do to fix this leak. Until next time, if you're not already a subscriber, please consider subscribing, and if you like this video, please hit the like button. Take care.